Well, hello again, diecast fanatics. How's it going today? Hope you're all doing well. All right, so I decided to pull out of the old garage a pair of my 124 scale cars. Haven't looked at one of these for a while. And we're going to look at a pair of Mopars today, and they come from two different, completely opposite ends of the spectrum. We got the Malaise Era and the Muscle Era represented here today. And we're going to take a look at these guys. I know the station wagon is a MotorMax brand. This one, I'm not sure what this is. I want to say Jada Toys, but I could be wrong about that. So we'll check it out when we get into it. All right, let's dive in. And I'm going to go ahead and change the aspect ratio to the close-up so we can get a little better view of these guys. And let's start with I always like to start with the oldest to the newest. We'll start with this. So, you know me, I'm a sucker for a B-body Plymouth from the 1971 through 1974 era, especially the 71s and 72s. Just really like the styling of them. All right, so you guys probably recognize this. This is from one of the Fast and Furious movies, and I think it was Vin Diesel's character drove this particular car. Now, I'm going to be abundantly clear with you guys about something. Okay, I'm not a fan of the Fast and Furious movies. Okay, if you are a fan of them, my condolences. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to slam you for that. But yeah, me personally, I can't stand them. To me, they represent the lowest common denominator of filmmaking out there, and I just can't stand these movies. However, this was a really nice model that I saw. I got this at Walmart a couple of years back, and I was like, wow, that is so sharp. I actually like that thing. And there's a fair, surprising amount of detail in this car I'm going to show you. All right, so this is a 1972. And it says GTX, and I don't think they had a GTX in 72, so this is a bit of or maybe they did. It just seems like I thought that they did away with the GTX after 71. I know the Hemi went away after 1971. That one died rather than be compromised. And then somehow the 446 barrel managed to play out through 72. I don't know how they got around that. In fact, I think that's what this car is actually depicted with. So you can see in here, for a relatively inexpensive diecast car, I think I paid all of $20 for this thing. It's pretty decent. It's got the little harness depicted that the car had in the movie. They actually put some kind of legible gauges in there. That's remarkable for an inexpensive diecast. There's your little door panel there. And this model's got the quarter windows in it. Both the plastic model I had and also that satellite I showed you earlier did not have those windows depicted. Because they actually roll down and retract into the body. And they got these really wicked low-profile tires. This is like rolling around on rubber bands. These are probably like a 20-inch wheel that they put on this thing. This actually, believe it or not, is representative of a stripe package you could get on a Roadrunner or a GTX back in those days, which is very cool. And then as is keeping with the rear, as you saw, it's got the blacked-out grille. This is the only car, I'm going to tell you something, maybe you see this too. This is the only car front end I've ever seen that manages to look both mean and sad at the same time. I mean, seriously, look at it. You look at it at certain angles, it looks mean as anything. At other angles, it looks sad. It's like, that is so weird. How Plymouth did that. But they were doing these loop bumpers back in these years, which were very expensive to produce. And they were trying to, give the car a very curvaceous appearance because they were trying to do a radical departure from the kind of boxy bodies that you had, back in 1970. So, yeah, it was kind of wild how they did that with the front end. It's like the car manages to look both mean and sad at the exact same time. Go figure how they did that. This has got the nice little chin spoilers, which is pretty cool. And got the stick shift in there. I think I see a nitrous bottle hiding between the seats. Look at that. Pretty wild. Let me see if I can get the hood open for you. This is one of those ones where it's a little difficult to pop the hood. Because, you need a fingernail. What I do is I tend to tap it gently on my knee. Here we go. All right, so it's all blacked out, so it's a little hard to see, but you can tell it's got that long air cleaner, so most likely it is a 446 barrel, which, like I said, amazingly enough, it did play through to 1972. The movie car, I don't know what it had. I mean, for all I know, it was some kind of crazy fuel injection, because I'm looking here at this setup here. None of that looks factory at all. So like I said, it's probably not, in the movie car probably was not a 446 barrel. But, you know, even though I don't care for the movie series, this is a very nicely done model of one of my personal favorite cars. Very cool. I like the fact it's got all the opening features, too. And we'll flip over to show you the chassis here. So it looks like this is a, okay, so that's telling you the scale. 72 GTX. Yep, there it is. Jada toys. Okay, so I was right. Yeah, and there's a Jada symbol right there. Not a bad chassis for, you know, like I said, a relatively inexpensive diecast car. Got the big fat meats on the back. Slightly skinnier in the front, but not much. Boy, not by much, though. It's got fat tires all the way around. But yeah, pretty nicely done model. Nice model from a movie series that I despise. You know? Oh, well. What are you going to do, right? Okay, so that represents the muscle era right there. Now we're going to take a look at the Malaise era. And this little station wagon is very special to me, and I'll tell you why. So when my wife and I, we weren't married yet, we were just dating. We went to, she lived down in Lake Worth, actually. She was a teacher down there. And I used to have to drive down to see her on weekends. Thankfully, it only lasted for 3 months. Eventually, she got a job up more close to the area where I live now. But anyways, we went to CVS before I was about to drive her back home to Lake Worth, because we were going to get some supplies for the trip and such. And CVS, as you know, I've heard me mention it in the videos before, they have a display of die-cast cars in there. And my wife's like, oh, honey, look at those cars. You know, you collect those. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I saw this wagon. I said, I kind of like that wagon. That's very cool. And by the way, there were 2 color choices. You could also get a beige one, but I like the metallic kind of copper color better. So my then girlfriend, now my wife, bought me this. And I thought that was really sweet of her. So this little car will always have a special place in my heart, just because of that. So this is a Motor Max casting. And, you know, Motor Max, I call them the Yacht Ming of the, you know, larger scale diecast world, because their quality is often lacking. But I give them an A for effort, because they did manage to cram a fair amount of details into this little wagon. So this is a 1978 Chrysler Town & Country wagon. This is, I believe this is on the M-Body chassis, because this is when the M-Body was brand new, first come out. And they did a pretty nice job with this. You know, you got the, you know, the LeBarons were known for having the kind of upside down headlamp configuration where the turn signals were on the top and then the headlamps are on the bottom. It looks a little awkward. In fact, some people say it looks like it has eyebrows that way. Very ornate grille. They did a faithful representation of the hood ornament, which is a little bit large, but you know what? That's not too bad. Really good job with the wood siding for such a cheap diecast. They even, look at this, they even put the unleaded fuel only sticker on there. Got your Town & Country script right here. White ball tires, which were ubiquitous in the 70s. And, you know, these were a very luxuriously equipped wagon. These would have had leather seats, pretty much power everything, pretty plush interior, and a lot of sound deadening for quiet. And then this is always one of the interesting features. They managed to keep the full width tail lamp even on the station wagon. And how they did it is it's basically divided. You got, you know, this section is here in the quarter panel. This section is part of the hatch, and it raises up, and then only these parts remain behind. It was all wired in appropriately through the hinges up here. They did a good job. Got the Chrysler badge right there. It's got a California plate, no less. There's the other side here. Got the nice little wood grain. They did a really nice job of replicating that. And then, yeah, this is a little panel that I remember them having on there as well. Got your chromed out roof rack. Pleated seats. And this is another one where the hood opens. You have to bear with me when I try to open it here in a minute. I'll show you the chassis real quick here. Not very detailed. You can see the Motor Max little badge on there. Yeah, pretty plain. You know, it's got these provisions here, almost like this could have been displayed on a like one of those bases. It was screwed in, but you know, I didn't buy it on a base. It was actually loose in the store. Yeah, see, there you go, 1978 Chrysler Town & Country. There you go. All right, now bear with me a minute here. I'm going to try to get the hood open. Not very detailed what's under there, but I just want to show it to you anyways. Got a little stubby antenna, which is kind of funny. Here we go. Gentle tap on the knee will make the hood open right up. So under the hood here, you would have had either a 318 or possibly a 360. Most likely a 318 though, and it would have been saddled with that kind of horrible lean burn system. But you can see, you know, it's, boy, I'll tell you what, for a cheapo diecast, it's got a fair amount of detail. I'm really impressed. I can see various bits of plumbing in there. You got the snorkel for the air cleaner. You got some, looks like some air conditioning lines, heater, hoses. There's a couple things under there. It's actually not bad. You did a pretty good job for such a cheap little diecast. There we go. 1978 Chrysler Town and Country station wagon. This is actually, believe it or not, has become a collector's item these days. All right, boys and girls, there you go. Especially you Mopar fans. Don't seem to have too many Mopar fans on this channel. Most of you guys seem to really like the GM stuff. But and I got plenty of that, as you've seen. But sometimes with these larger cars, I could tend to have, you know, non-GM stuff. All right, so there we all have it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. You guys take it easy. Take care of yourselves. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.